Substance Abuse and Homeless Rates by Christopher Guardado, candidate number 7024. Homeless rates around the world. 700,000 people in America are homeless in a population of about 340 million, according to 2024. Around 35% of that homeless population are also unsheltered, which is around 270,000 people. 530,000 people in Germany are homeless out of a population of roughly 83 million. While lower in Germany, with only about 6% not having a permanent house or a shelter that they can stay at, that is still 31,000 people without a house. How does substance abuse relate to homelessness rates? In America, 38% of homeless people have abused some kind of substance, 26% of which have abused drugs. Meanwhile, in Germany, 34% of homeless people were seen to have recently used substances as of 2024 when a study was done drawing their blood in order to see what substances had been used. Why does it matter locally? This matters locally as within Miami, as of 2025, there are 3,728 homeless people, approximately. However, thankfully, only 858 of them do not have a shelter. Furthermore, it matters more locally as within Miami, drugs are much more prevalent, where on February 22nd, 2022, the Coast Guard took $1.06 billion worth of illegal narcotics. This matters because although other countries such as San Diego, California, have a higher homeless count of approximately 10,000, it also is 342 square miles, roughly, making it several times bigger than Miami, which is only about 36 square miles. This is due to several reasons, such as Miami being easier to import drugs to than other countries, and a much more prevalent drug culture within Miami. And this leads to higher homelessness rates than would be usual had there not been as many substances that could be easily accessed as shown with San Diego, which although having higher has much less people per area in comparison. Why does it matter globally though? It matters globally as both homelessness and substance usage are not limited to any one country. One reason for this is that over half of the countries in the world have 100 homeless people per 100,000 people, according to State of Homelessness National Alliance to End Homelessness. If I One reason for this, another reason it matters globally is that many countries also have many things, such as alcohol being legal, and some countries allowing previously banned things to become legal, such as cannabis and being legal in Canada as of 2018. This shows several, and aside from that, that's not even to include the illegal substances that are imported in and sold within impoverished communities. Some current things being done. There are well, there are multiple organizations, but two organizations that are currently going against these problems are the CADCA and We Hope. The CADCA is the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America, which although misleading is actually has its roots in more than 28 countries and has formed over 7,000 coalitions within the communities, and they aim to reduce drug usage by giving those communities the knowledge and the tools in order to reduce drug usage. While We Hope fights against homelessness rates by providing homeless services such as such as mobile homelessness rates, such as giving out food or just giving out food, and amongst other things, and teaching life skills. They also and they also provide emergency food and shelter just in case of emergencies. My proposed solution is to use part of the taxes collected from citizens annually to help build and pay for rehabilitation centers. I chose this as a solution due to taxes collecting a lot of money in one moment and at one time of the year, and not relying on donations. The main reason I didn't want my solution to rely on donations was because when something relies on donations, it can it can sometimes be harder in order to raise enough in order to make a substantial change. And due to how much money you can collect at one time with taxes, I believe it can be used to both fund salaries and buildings. As a rehabilitation center can cost around 300,000 to over $1 million, depending on how big you want it and if you're purchasing it, and and given how much money we would and given how the money could be used from the taxes, how much money is made off taxes yearly, I believe it would work better to build them. And then this is how the taxes could be redistributed. For example, in Japan, during their tax season, they had collected 72.1 trillion yen, 446 billion USD. Meanwhile, in 2024, America had collected about 6.9 trillion, and with just 13% going to defenses, which is about 872 billion. If if both governments were to take a billion from their tax revenue, a relatively small amount in comparison to how much they make or how much is made through taxes, they could each help build rehabilitation centers within their country. If around 1,000 per billion, although that would most likely be more than needed. Now, some limitations and pushbacks I can see happening to my solution. A limitation to my solution that it is mostly out of the hands of the average person. The average person doesn't work in the government, they can't influence these decisions, and they can't decide how taxes are used. Another limitation is that would have to be constant as salaries would have to be paid off the taxes, which which is also another issue. If their salaries are paid by taxes, how would you collect taxes off it? Would you just cut it out at the beginning and include and have it not be not their pay have their paycheck not be taxed as a result of it being paid from taxes and include that within it before giving the salary, or would you tax the salary afterwards? Now, some pushback that I can see come from hard on crime groups, people who think that people who commit crimes should grapple with their consequences and that we shouldn't try to help them. And another group that I can see being against it are people who worked hard in order not to be homeless, such as working hard on jobs, not getting addicted to any substances in order to afford things and try to pay off their own houses. And they may feel it's unfair that their taxes are going to something that doesn't directly benefit them, such as roads. Here's my bibliography. While most of these sources I believe are credible, there are two that I'm not that I can't fully say are credible, and that's the state of homelessness, as it would sometimes give me false information, and or what not necessarily false, but would contradict itself at points, and the other one being the poly substance use amongst the homeless in Germany, as that one is talks about Germany yet is owned as an official website of the United States government. And with that, that's my presentation. Thank you once again.